What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, July 27th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the busiest lady in the business, Andrea Renee.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
You know, I'm great. It's been a very busy week.
Hasn't it? It has been, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it never ends. There's always something. What have you been up to?
Well, we've been, so the What's Good Games crew is in town, and so we've been shooting a bunch of Patreon exclusive videos and getting ready for some streams later today.
Sure.
The Epic Games team is coming by to stream some Fortnite with us. The lovely Nick Chester is going to be there.
We know him well.
He's a great person.
Yeah. What time is that if people want to watch?
That is 3:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
It's twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames if you would like to join us. We have the 2 Patreon exclusive streams, so if you want to get in on those, you gotta.
How often do
gotta
girls
pay the
come
dues.
down to San Francisco, or how often do you guys get together?
Once a month.
Okay,
Unless
okay.
there's a con, and then we can do stuff at the con
Sure,
too.
that makes sense.
But yeah, so essentially once a month.
Cool.
Because otherwise, travel's expensive.
Hell yeah.
And we aren't, rolling in the dough yet.
Yet. Keyword.
Someday.
Exactly. Well, that's
Yeah.
fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
You gonna play some a game if you're playing Fortnite? They're off seeing Life is Strange, right? Joey
Yep.
and I went and saw it yesterday. Can't talk about it, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah.
Excited to eventually talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, we did a playthrough at San Diego Comic-Con, which was really exciting. So,
Yeah.
I think some of the content you saw is similar to what we showed there. But yeah, soon. When is that embargo up? Next week?
I think it's next Thursday because I think we're talking about it on next week's recording of the Gamescast.
Yeah.
So I think that checks out.
Yeah. So cool stuff going on.
Cool. I got Patapon, but I can't talk about that either.
I
But
saw
soon
a tweet about Patapon from Shoe.
If everything goes right, Kevin, and come give me a fist pound, Big Kev Dog, there should be a Patapon Let's Play up tomorrow morning of me playing Patapon, right?
Yes.
I talked about that. Okay, cool. Right now over on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, there is a Let's Play of the one and only Nick Scarpino and I, and contractually I have to tell you after we say that, I'm sorry, of me and the champ playing Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, over there with Pete Hines. So that's what you got to go do. That's a good one. But right now, let's begin the show. Oh, I didn't even say what it is. This is Kinda Funny Games Daily. You already know it. It's the nerdy news we jump into. We get really messy with it. We boil down all the news that's happening. There's a lot happening today. We talk about it at length. We take your questions. We read your bad PSN names, and we have a good time each and every day on a variety of platforms. If you want to watch live, we record it on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, but we ignore the chat. The only way to be part of the show is to tell us what we got wrong over at kindoffunny.com/you're-wrong. If you're watching later, you can get it on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, where that Let's Play is. Or you can get it on podcast services around the globe. And it would mean a whole bunch to me if you subscribe, liked, and share on all the various platforms. Went to Patreon, gave us the Amazon Prime, yada, yada. Let's begin the show with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. Time for some news! That was an energized one, Kev. Good job.
It's much faster, Kevin. It's much
but
faster.
it's like
paced.
these are incremental changes we're giving him.
Yeah.
Like that's what it should be. Again, I don't mind if you just do the Star Wars song.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I forget the noise every time, and it's like right
It's
before I
weird.
do it, I'm always like, you can see me struggling. Like, what is it? What's the
There are
sound?
5 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Number 1, possibly, maybe, they say it hasn't, but it probably has. Has there been official confirmation that GTA 6 is in the works? I'm using IGN.com's boiling down of what happened over on NeoGAF, but if a motion capture actor's resume is to be believed, Grand Theft Auto 6 is well into production. You don't say, Andrea.
What?
As if this would be worked on. Spotted by NeoGAF user Chadskin. Jesus. Actor Tim Neff has listed motion capture work for both Red Dead Redemption 2 and the very much unannounced Grand Theft Auto 6 on his resume. And then it was a little image of what I just read. Then they had an update to this IGN story. Actor Tim Neff has publicly stated that the resume posted under his name on Breakdown Express is incorrect and that he does not even have an account on the website to post his resume. Neff has explained in several replies via his Twitter account that he did work on Grand Theft Auto 5 and that the listing is quote-unquote not real. He went on to tell PC Games N on Twitter. This is how news happens now, by the way. That isn't my page account or resume. I don't even know that website. I worked on GTA 5 a long time ago and haven't done anything since. Andrea, what do you think?
I think in a world post-fake Nintendo NX, like that, 3D printed fake console thing.
The one where we had the reflection in the window and all this stuff, yeah.
That you don't ever know what's true anymore. And I wouldn't put it past some enterprising young individual to make a fake account and plant this news. Do we think that Rockstar is working on another GTA.
Is there another Grand Theft Auto?
Of course.
Yeah, of
it
course
sold millions and millions and made billions in revenue.
Exactly.
So yes, is there going to be more GTA? Of
Right.
course. What that looks like, is it going to be for online specifically, or is it going to be single player expansions for GTA 5, or is it the next one? We don't know, but yes, they're definitely working on something.
Exactly.
Could this be faked? I think this could be highly faked. Yeah.
Of course. And it sucks if it is totally, if Tim Neff has nothing to do with this and suddenly he's in the middle of this, that sucks for him.
Yeah.
But I guess it only really sucks if he really is working on Grand Theft Auto 6. Because if he's not, Rockstar knows he's not, and it's like, oh, no harm, no foul, it's a fake, it's something, whatever.
You mean if he's actually working on it and he had to lie about it?
No, I'm saying that only if he's really in trouble would this be upsetting, right? Like if he's not working on Grand Theft Auto 6 and this went up, it doesn't suck for him because somebody's talking about Tim Neff all of a sudden. Hey, look at me, I'm getting my name out there as a motion capture artist and this, that, and the other.
But he's getting his name out there as somebody who broke confidentiality. Because I have to imagine at this point, after so many of these resume leaks, that it's built into their NDA now, their non-disclosure agreement that actors have to sign when they work on these top secret projects, that they can't post things like this, updates about the project in their resume until the project is announced.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's far of a stretch.
Right. No, 100%. That's why I'm saying as long as it is real, as long as it is fake, then it's fine. Then whatever. No harm, no foul. But if it is real, then obviously Rockstar's mad. Because Rockstar, I mean, honestly, really good at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
Really, really good at keeping secrets. Like what the Red Dead 2 map came out a bit beforehand, and even that was like, is it really real or is it not? Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
And now Red Dead we know is real, and we don't know much more beyond that, right? It's just they keep everybody over there terrified.
Well, when you make all
good.
the money, you can afford good security.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I always feel it's so weird and like, God, the way things leak, whether it be like something like this, where it is just somebody tangentially released, whether it's code embedded in a page way down in the source code, whether it's an image that gets out, whether you're working on the subway and somebody takes a photo, there's so many ways to fuck this up. Yeah. And it always cracked me up about when talking to like Neil and Bruce about The Last of Us and how they used to be like, don't be that guy. Like, they would send around emails like it's 14 days. Like when they put out when the first teases started to hit, like, don't be that guy. To keep everything on lockdown. Don't leave an iPad on a plane. Like, don't screw this up.
Don't open up your PowerPoint where other people can see it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so hard to believe that you're able to do it when like hundreds of people are touching this project and working on this project in some respect. Daniel Mick Corey wrote in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD, just like you can. It says, Dear Andrea Egg. That's our couple name, I guess, but it's just your full name and then a misspelling of the last two letters of my name, but whatever. With reports of GTA 6 being worked on and Rockstar saying that they may not go back to single-player protagonists in their video games, what is your opinion on multiple protagonists in video games? Personally, in GTA, he's trying to say, in GTA 5, I loved it as it allowed you to see the characters in a different light, and I am surprised more games haven't used this idea. Andrew, what did you think of the multiple protagonists of GTA 5?
I thought it was really well done. I mean, I've said on the Gamescast before that I'm not a fan of, the overall narrative of GTA 5.
Sure.
But I commend Rockstar for the excellent work that they did in crafting that story. I think a lot of people really appreciated it. Sometimes it can be challenging for players to get a grasp on what's happening with the story if you're constantly having to shift focus and perspective. But think about some of the other really big IPs out there. A lot of them focus on multiple protagonists. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's great.
For me personally, I'd like to see GTA 6 or whatever the next thing's going to be go back to a single protagonist. I enjoyed it in GTA 5, but I think looking back on GTA 5, I feel less connected to any of those characters than I did when I think back to Tommy in Vice City, right? Or
the best.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's where you jump to, of course. But CJ in San Andreas, even Nico in 4. I always forget. I always want to say Jacques now, but I can't remember if that's just Danny who put that in my head. But leather jacket dude, green pants from GTA 3. Like I liked being one
Claude,
character.
I think his name is.
Thank you very much. I knew it wasn't Jacques. But moving on through that of like having that connection, being with them every step of the way, and plus for me, as much as I liked it because it was cool and it was different and that's great. It's GTA fucking 5. I've played this a lot. I don't need the exact same thing over and over again. The zooming out, I know it sounds really stupid, but I don't like being reminded that it's a video game in terms of like I'm doing something totally supernatural and totally out of the ordinary when before, granted, I'm taking a boat off a ramp and putting it through a building and then just walking away.
I mean, it's all
I know.
Fantasy, suspension of disbelief. Yeah.
Little things like that though irk me. But speaking of GTA, number 2 on the Roper Report is that the best-selling UK game of this year, Andrea, is GTA 5.
That's surprising, I have to say.
I'm going to read GameSpot's rundown here. Nearly 4 years after it first launched, Grand Theft Auto 5 is the UK's best-selling boxed game in 2017 so far, according to an Entertainment Retailer Association report. Rockstar's open-world title outsold every other game in the UK during the first half of 2017, selling 334,000 units in total, and I rounded it down, units in total up to the end of June. GTA's closest competitor was Ghost Recon Wildlands, which sold around 20,000 fewer units. Horizon Zero Dawn finished at third in the video game chart, which is awesome. New IP getting out there and only having one platform to run on compared to Wildlands. With FIFA 17 at number 4 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare at number 5, rounding out the top 5.
GTA 5 has been in the top 10 NPD for the entire year for the last, several years that it's been released. So that's not surprising, but it is shocking to me that it hit number 1 when we've had some really excellent games released so far this year.
I don't understand what... I mean, you can say, okay, it's GTA Online, which I get. Everybody's still playing GTA Online and it's a big thing. I don't understand how it's still selling this much. At what point is the market saturated that everybody has GTA 5 and everybody who wants to play it can play it? I don't understand how this is still happening. And don't get me wrong. Quality game. I'm not like, how is this happening? This is a miscarriage of justice. I'm just like, I can't wrap my head around how these 300,000 people were like, you know what, I still don't have it, or I need it, or what finally pushed them to go do it? Was it there a big sale, a price drop? Was it finally they saw some friend doing it? Like, GTA Online for me was like, okay, cool. I tried it out in the beginning and it was really rickety, and then I know they've expanded and I've seen cool videos, but I've never been drawn to go back. I've thought about it once or twice, but never have. I don't understand where these 300,000 people are coming from that they're like, I've been on the sidelines forever. I just found a podcast that's talking about it. I just found a streamer who's playing it. It seems like you would know.
I don't know how that's possible, though. Because I mean, the team at Rockstar has been really great about releasing periodic updates for online, but it's not like they've put out like a really large expansion for GTA Online. It's just like, a piece of content here on this holiday, or a new, guns and vehicle pack
cosmetic
here.
Stuff. Yeah.
So I'm just like, it's puzzling. Yeah, most certainly.
Tell us if you let me know.
If you live in the UK, is there like a fervor?
Or even if you just bought it this year, what happened? kindoffunny.com/KFGD. I'd love to know. We obviously like you being part of the show. We can actually do a quick aside if you want to about being part of the show.
Yeah.
Yesterday, a user by the name of Big Angry Dad 82 wrote in, wanting to squad up, I think, or just talk about why why nobody's talking about Agents of Mayhem. To which Danny and I were like, oh, right, Agents of Mayhem. And it's like, did you know it's out next month? And it's all this stuff. And it's like, oh, fuck, okay. And then
I feel like I'm the only one who's like excited about it.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Excellent. Because yes, you are. Because it was there. And Danny and I stumbled around and I was like, man, I did the Square presentation room at GameStop last year. I watched the trailer. I was like, this looks really generic. I love Volition. I enjoyed Saints Row. I'm not knocking them. I was just like, this doesn't seem like it's going to be a home run. I don't know who's going to be excited for this. It just seemed, we read a PC Gamer preview here, the intro, where they were like, this isn't hitting the mark, all these different things. But it was this thing. Well, and Danny and I totally stumbled through. We didn't even know what the concept of the game was, which is pretty terrible for somebody who was in the room presenting it to GameStop managers. I was under the impression it was multiplayer because there was all these different classes and things.
So that's the big misstep with this game. So Agents of Mayhem looks great. It's a 4-player, with quotations, 4-player squad-based shooter, but it's you playing
all the pieces.
And so then you can rotate between all the people in your squad. So you pick one character to go into the level with or into the mission with, and then you pick your teammates, and then you can kind of hot swap between your teammates.
Yeah.
Now, the gameplay is fun. It's got that wacky over-the-top thing that Volition is known for. Crazy guns, these wacky enemies that you face off against with, like one-line zingers and things like that. Yeah. So very Volition. The piece that's missing is that I don't know why they wouldn't have at least made this like 4-player local co-op,
right? Or
4-player online co-op. They didn't need to add a PvP element,
yeah.
But not allowing your friends to jump into the game with you just seems like a big miss.
Yeah, all they had at the GameStop thing when we were doing it was this reveal. Here's the different types of classes and stuff. And it came off as we're making a class multiplayer shooter that you jump, or not shooter, but open world game you jump into. And so yesterday when we were talking about big angry dad wanting to play this game or stuff, and he's like, why isn't we talking? We're like, we think it's just missing the mark and nobody is. Well, and I said, let us know right in to kindafunny.com/KFGD if you care about Agents of Mayhem. And 2 people wrote in. One of them, again, was Big Angry Dad. And then only one person popped up on Twitter last night to be like, hey, like, you guys don't even know what the game is. And I was like, oh, fuck. The marketing's even worse than I thought it was. I thought, because it was, where are the ads? Where is this?
Well, they did integration with YouPorn that I was like...
With YouPorn?
Yeah. So, like, they did a shtick where Johnny Gat, who is, you know, a Saints Row character who appears in Agents of Mayhem, had, like, his sex tape leaked on YouPorn. And it was all obviously fake. It was part of this big PR shtick. So, you know, Volition and Deep Silver, they've done cheeky things this before. When Deep Silver did the marketing for Homefront: The Revolution, they're the ones who sent those like weird cell phones out to people said like were coming from North Korea or whatever. So like, they do some kind of off the wall things for part of their marketing. And so when I saw that press release come across my email, I was like, oh, really? This is what you're going with. I mean, it's not surprising considering for Saints Row 4, they had like the purple dildo bat.
Yeah. And they had the guy dressed as the can of soda.
Apple not too far from the tree or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that this game is having some marketing problems that I think the gameplay, when I've played it a couple of times now, I've had a lot of fun with it. And because it's so fun and wacky, I would like to have that fun with my friends. And I also mistakenly thought it was multiplayer and then was corrected, and I was like, well, that's a bummer.
It's like Rock Band Unplugged on PSP when we got it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, can we play with other people? Like, no, it's one player. Like, what? Okay.
But I'm like, why? It's 2017. Why would you not build that into your game?
And especially when it just looks that way. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But giving the floor back to Big Angry Dad 82, who's now a contributor, I guess. He writes back in for Who the Fuck Cares About Agents of Mayhem segment and says, Agents of Mayhem is not a multiplayer game at all. It's single player. Only there are 12 agents and you pick a team of 3 for each mission and can switch between them on the fly. If you want to know more, I recommend checking out Volition's YouTube channel where they've been doing weekly streams on each character and different features in the game. Also, for the record, I'm not angry at all, huh? The name's actually a throwback to my ex-brother-in-law's password he had on his PC, Big Angry Dad, and me and my nephews found out and used to play his PC whenever we were younger. All right, I like that, Big Angry Dad 82. Thanks for the correction. Thanks for the 2 other people who wrote in to say they cared about Agents of Mayhem. You guys can all get on a Discord with Andrea.
I guess we'll have to play by ourselves, but we can talk about it.
Number 3 on the Roper Report: Walmart has officially canceled their SNES pre-orders. Did you get your email?
I got my damn email.
The email read, unfortunately...
Mad about it.
I'm sure you are. I want to hear you vent about it. Unfortunately, due to a technical glitch, the Super Nintendo Classic Edition was mistakenly made available last Friday evening ahead of the official release date. This is the email Walmart sent to everybody. We regrettably will have to cancel this item on your order. We know that this is incredibly disappointing to you, and we're truly sorry for this mistake.
The best/worst part about that email is the last line of the email says, I do hope you'll give us another chance to earn back your business.
Ooh.
Warm regards. And I'm like, okay.
Are you done with Walmart?
No. Listen, if Walmart put up a pre-order for SNES Classic Edition today, I would definitely buy it again.
And everyone's is it real? Blah.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, lay it on me.
They had no choice here.
Of course.
I mean, this was going to happen because all of the other retailers probably went knocking on Nintendo's door and were like, WTF. We talked about this earlier this week. And like there was no way they were going to be able to fulfill those orders. I mean,
for me, the bigger thing has got to be, if I was from everything I've understood, and we talked really briefly about this yesterday with the SNES Classic and how this works, is that the allotments are so small that I doubt even the number Walmart sold were their real allotment. So if I was in Amazon, GameStop, anybody sitting back watching, I'd be like, ooh. I mean, more like, we already know how this story plays out. We know what's going to happen. It's not even that you like. At first, it would be like, do they really have? Oh, they don't have them, and this is this is a huge snafu for them with a sizable part of the market that buys things online.
Yeah, I mean, there's some theories out there that they did this intentionally to try to get a snapshot of what the market share would look like, and Walmart can absolutely get away with doing something like that intentionally. And I think it's good information for them to bring to Nintendo to say, hey, look at the overwhelming demand. We had X amounts of thousands of pre-orders put in during this 1 hour period. Imagine what it's going to be like when we open up the actual doors to pre-orders.
Sure.
I mean, take this information for what it's worth. And then we'll just cancel all the pre-orders because we're Walmart and we don't really care.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really fascinating. That's devious. That makes me feel dirty.
That's
them being bad people, Andrea.
This is a theory, right?
I like the theory.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Go get them, Walmart. Keep being horrible and evil and putting the little guy out of
Listen,
business.
Amazon is eating Walmart's lunch. They got to get dirty.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a good point. Number 4, For Honor's still kicking and has announced a slew of new information. I had the press release all put in here, but I thought GameSpot's intro to their article actually summarized why this is more important. It gave a lens to all of this. So GameSpot's intro starts, in the months following its release, For Honor has been through a bit of a lull. Despite a relatively strong start with a solid player base, the number of users dropped off significantly, mostly due to rampant server and balancing issues in the online multiplayer modes. Though there's still a dedicated community dueling online at this very moment, the developers behind the ambitious online brawler are looking to reignite the fire of battle with a slew of new features and balance adjustments to the core game. Taking cues from Ubisoft's other titles, such as Rainbow Six Siege and The Division, Ubisoft Montreal plans to reinvigorate For Honor by introducing the following balance fixes. This is interesting because we had been talking, with MPD every month or whatever. The fact that For Honor was doing so well, not on the current charts, but on the fact of it's still one of the best-selling games of the year. It's still right towards the top of that. And it was that, okay, For Honor came, I played a little bit at launch. I was like, this is cool. Not for me. Enjoyed my time, the streams we did. And then I was like, all right, cool. I'm glad there's a community playing. I didn't realize there was so much problems in terms of little things, the player drop off, any of that. And then when I saw today on GAF, them talking about the press release that I had in my email, there were so many of the GAF threads response saying, dedicated servers, I'll be back to, because I guess that's been the biggest issue. So in terms of the fixes they've added here, they're adding dedicated servers. The development team at Ubisoft Montreal is currently working on a dedicated server infrastructure in conjunction to the dedicated server implementation. Enhancing peer-to-peer stability and matchmaking remain priorities for the team. They're putting in 2 new seasons in August and November. For Honor will receive new season updates, introducing adjustments to the way players fight on the battlefield. There's new game features, competitive play with a dual tournament feature and ranked 4v4 matches, as well as a brand new 4v4 PvP game mode will be added to For Honor in the coming months. There's a new training mode, a more robust training option for both new and veteran players to hone their skills before heading into the battlefield, and then global balancing updates. Building on the updates since launch, For Honor will receive more changes aimed at balancing heroes and game modes. Some of these changes will improve elements of the fight system to make attacking more advantageous while putting more pressure on defense. All these changes will be tested via public test environments on PC, with a first test starting today. What's your read on this, Andrea?
I think if Ubisoft wants to continue pushing For Honor towards esports, then they have to make these changes. If they want to, get more people back into the server so there are more people playing so that they can really fill out that competitive scene for this game, then this was a must.
Sure.
I also am like you. I spent some time with the game, enjoyed it, wasn't really hooked on it.
Right.
Set it aside and really haven't looked back. I also was glad to hear, though, that people are enjoying their time with it and having fun, because it is, a unique style of competitive game. We don't really see these kind of hack and slash combat games in the competitive, professional video game arena. So.
Sure, 100%. I think it's interesting that it sounds so much like Rainbow Six Siege. And I know GameSpot mentions that in their intro, in the way that when Siege came out, it was people were excited for it. Oh, it doesn't run well. And they kind of backed off. And then they were able to keep supporting Siege and make this community built around it.
I never had problems with Rainbow Six running properly. I played a lot of that game when it came out.
Okay.
I mean, and that game didn't even have a campaign. And so that was, I think, a big miss for players who were like, wait a minute, I'm paying full price for multiplayer only, and then you're going to give me microtransactions on the back end.
Yeah.
So I think that, Rainbow Six suffered from a lack of content. There was only so much content you could play, and then that was it.
Seen it all, yeah.
You know,
what
and
it
then
is,
they
yeah.
had the season pass, of course, and they released new operators and more stuff down the line, but it just didn't come fast enough.
Sure.
So, and I don't know if that's a problem with For Honor players who are, really actively playing, if they feel like they've kind of worn out the content that's already there and they like need something new.
Well,
but I mean, the connectivity issues are a problem when we're talking about, PvP.
Especially when it's online. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole thrust of why you're playing it, right? It's interesting to see if this. Well, it's where we are, I guess, with video games in 2017. In the way that this sold really well, and in the old days, that would have been it, and you would have moved on. But here you are having to support and having to get in with the community, having to figure out what the problem is. And it'll be interesting to see, like, this is usually when there's a patch, there's an update, there's an expansion. Okay, cool. It'll get covered in a blog roll and be gone. It seemed like this For Honor thing was making the rounds today in a very, impressive way in terms of people actually being excited for it and getting positive buzz behind it. I wonder if it is enough for the person who bought it and it's just been on their shelf since a week after launch, if they will pop it back in, like I did with the Division when they did put new Division stuff in there.
I mean, I think, yes, right now, if they can get into it in the next 6 weeks before September, when like the fall release season really
Sure.
comes around. I mean, obviously there's a couple big games coming in August.
Yeah, August is it starts in August. Everything starts coming in August.
But I think that now is the time to do it if they want to really kind of hook people through the end of the summer break.
Yeah. All right. We'll have to see what happens. Let us know, of course, what you think of For Honor. kindoffunny.com/KFGD. The fifth and final story for the day. And this is a short one via IGN. There's a new Marvel mobile game coming. Marvel Entertainment and Aftershock have announced a new mobile game set in the Marvel Universe. Details, including a title, are scarce right now. The only concrete pieces of information so far is that the game will have an action RPG, or will be an action RPG, and include PvP multiplayer elements. Quote, "The game will be the full package," said Marvel Senior Vice President of Games, Jae-Ung. An exciting storyline, epic moments with Marvel superheroes and supervillains, and incredible visuals that truly bring our characters to life. It's shaping up to be one of our biggest and boldest projects in our mobile space. Developer Aftershock includes former employees of Blizzard, Riot, and EA, and is also working on a mobile game set in the world of Avatar. Just an interesting one to put on your radar. I like what Marvel Games has been doing in terms of all this stuff. It's interesting they're making the rounds already for a mobile game that doesn't have a title and doesn't have this, but action RPGs are cool.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't talk about this at their Marvel Games panel at Comic-Con.
Yeah, me too. That's why when I saw it, I was like, oh, is this something we talked about at Comic-Con? No. And there was a couple mobile games we talked about at Comic-Con, like, Conquest and all these different things. But it is that fact of, I'm not even familiar enough with the mobile games that we were talking about there in terms of how long they've been running. Mm-hmm. And is this one of the ones that is like, this is all the way Marvel games? Because you figure like when Marvel Games comes on and it gets going and it's Bill and Mike, right? They announced Telltale, they announced a whole bunch of stuff. Now they have Spider-Man, but that also grandfathered in like Marvel Heroes Omega. That wasn't one of their projects, but it's in there now as part of the family. But it's not their vision, I don't think, for necessarily where they're going with Marvel games. And I would assume this one is from the ground up their vision. I don't know about Conquest and the other things though, and I could just be talking out my ass. But
as you do.
I do that sometimes. That's what half this job is, being a pundit like you and me. We just get up here, say things we think. I don't know. But it's exciting in the way that I think, the Marvel Games team has done so much right so far that I'm excited to see what they got next.
Well, yeah. And I mean, obviously the development teams that they listed there have great pedigrees. So
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully we'll get something cool.
How much, I know you've talked about mobile stuff on our shows before. Do you play a lot of mobile games?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I don't.
When I see stuff like this, I'm always like, oh man, that'd be kind of cool if that was the one. Maybe that's the mobile game where I'm like, I'll give that a shot and actually play it for a while and like have an action RPG on the go. But with the Switch now, who needs it? Huh?
Yeah, I don't really play. The only game that I play on my phone consistently is Candy Crush.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I last year, in the fall, I got super into Sparkade, but then just one day woke up and didn't feel the need to go on there and bet and try to get money off Tetris and just never went back.
Yeah, I just don't really spend time with games that are mobile that require a cell signal or Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when I'm playing on my phone or my iPad, it's because I'm in a plane. We talked about this on the What's Good Games podcast this week. We actually answer a viewer question about it. So you can hear me go into in depth about that.
Yeah. That was the backbreaker for Super Mario Run, right? Where I was like, oh, well, when I'd want to play this.
I mean, there was a lot of other problems with that game.
I wouldn't know because I think if I tried to play it on a plane, I was like, all right, fuck this, and went back to comics and video.
Yeah.
Andrea, if I want to know what's coming to mom and grop shops today, where would I go?
You would go to the official list of every game across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily show hosts each and every day.
Oh, you're not going to say weekday now?
No, dude, I'm salty about this. And I know
you know
said-
what's coming. That's right. Caleb G wrote in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD just like you can and says, pistol_play from the chat here and Sean from Detroit. And I got a bone to pick with you, Greg. Now, we don't know when the seeds of this each and every weekday revolution nonsense were planted, but it ends today. Greg, when you and I started this podcast, you looked me in the eye that night by the pier with a tear in your eye and told me that the people would know what was coming to mom and grop shops each and every day. Not because it's true, but because we believe in our hearts. And because that's the message you and I strive to achieve each and every day here at Kind of Funny Games Daily. It represents something greater than ourselves and a hope for a better tomorrow. Then Andrea came in like a Miley Cyrus wrecking ball, trying to tear down what you, me, and Sean from Detroit built from the ground up with our own 6 hands. Greg, don't let this lady Colin pull you into the darkness with her new mantra that settles for less than anything but the greatest. She's a snake oil salesman, Greg, trying to sell you a bag of tricks and shenanigans. This letter is a stance against those that would see KFGD and what it means burned to the ground in the ashes of weekdays. Stand up for what you believe in and the OG message of Kind of Funny Games Daily. If not, then you're a coward, and Zyger will have been right about you never being able to finish Persona 5. Sincerely, Caleb G. and Pistol Play. Whew. No, we're going to keep the weekday thing. I do think it's more on the nose. So we're going to keep the weekday thing, but thank you. Out today, there's a standalone edition of Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. It's now available on PC and Xbox One after only being there on that PS4 for a while. Overcooked Special Edition has come to Switch. Cubix Paint has come to Switch. ACA Neo Geo Super Sidekicks has come to Switch. Namco Museum is on Switch. Miitopia is on 3DS. Hey Pikmin is on 3DS. I have a typo here that's just Pikmin. I had to think what the fucking thing was called. And then you added, because I missed it,
Yes.
Elder Scrolls Legends, Heroes of Skyrim on iOS and Android. Thank you for getting that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing. You're a good co-host. I don't tell you that enough.
Oh, thanks,
Just letting you
Greg.
know. We got new dates due. Night Trap's 25th anniversary edition. Fuck yes. I added that. That's not the title. The physical version is coming through limited run games on August 11th, and then the digital release comes on August 15th. I'm excited for that. I never played the original Night Trap. Now I get trophies for it? Fuck yeah.
Trophies.
And then, in a E3 prediction that is finally coming true many moons later, The Sims 4 will be released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on November 17th. Congratulations, Andrea.
Thank you.
No problem.
I didn't get the points for it back then, but, you know.
Now you get the gold star for it, though.
Thanks.
You know what I mean?
I like stars.
And then I put it in here. It didn't fit as a news item of its own. It didn't fit this, but we all love season passes, right? And Wolfenstein 2 has announced the Freedom Chronicles season pass and pre-order. The Freedom Chronicles includes 3 DLC packs chronicling other freedom fighters. There's the Adventures of Gunslinger Joe, the Diaries of Agent Silent Death, the Amazing Deeds of Captain Wilkins.
So normally,
Yeah.
I have to say, I really dislike when publishers announce season passes for games that have not been released yet. I don't think it's good to be promoting DLC for a game before it's been released, particularly for a new IP. However, if it's a developer with an established reputation,
Machine Games.
a game that has, or a franchise that has an established reputation and has shown that they have done excellent work in the past, I'll let it slide. And in this case, I really enjoyed everything that I saw from the original Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
I recently got hands-on with Wolfenstein 2. You guys had Pete in here at the office.
Let's play up right now. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames.
I really had fun with that. So I'm okay with this because I know that that game was great and I'm going to play this game and I'm probably going to want this. But I needed to get that off my chest and say, generally season pass announcements before game launch are no bueno.
So here's my thing. I'm totally down for it. Yeah. Again, Machine Games, sure. We also, there was the what was it? The New Blood or Old Blood.
The Old Blood.
Yeah, the new Order, the Old Blood that they did last time around. Great. I like the idea that there's these new characters to play here. All the DLC packs you can purchase right now for $25. The dates aren't announced. Also, the Freedom Chronicles Episode 0 is a pre-order bonus for anyone who pre-orders Wolfenstein. But you can also get that through the season pass as well, and that introduces all the characters. Wolfenstein out October 27th. Let's play up now on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames.
This seems like a lot of content that is outside the game that maybe could have been put in the game.
You think so? No, do you?
Well, Wolfenstein: The New Order was an excellent game. It was a nice length. It wasn't too long, not too short. Could it have been more robust? Sure. So I don't know what the length or what the narrative arc of, the new Colossus is going to be.
Yeah.
But could they have put this in there and packaged it in and made a better value for that base price? Sure. Of course they could have.
Sure, they could have, but I think the fact of the matter is, like, I doubt these are done. You know what I mean? This is always the thing, right? Where if you want that, there'll be the deluxe edition.
That's really the root of the reasoning behind
Right.
the season pass, is to give the development team more time.
Exactly. And get you not to sell
fix
your
these
game
things.
back.
Yeah.
Don't sell back Wolfenstein 2 when you beat it so that people don't buy it
Keep
used,
it.
so they buy it new, and Bethesda gets some. And this is how the economy works, and why I think how it should. And that's my thing, is where I don't like the name Season Pass. I wish we could get away from that. I wish that I don't have a better term for it, so like I'm just fucking being an asshole.
Yeah.
But I like season passes because I like the idea that, hey, person who likes our game enough to buy it. Because for me, it's super rare that I think you see a season pass and it is, hey, you buy the season pass and here's all this DLC that's ready to go right now. You know what I mean? It's a season pass of, you like our game enough to buy it. We are invested enough we want to make more content for you. We want to keep you in this world.
Right.
And so, like, if I'm Bethesda, I think the reasoning here is the fact that each one of these sounds like it stars a new protagonist, right? Wolfenstein to the new Colossus is BJ Blazkowicz, and they call him the Butcher Billy, right? Like he's got a little weird name too that the Nazis all refer to him as.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those, like, that is his story, that's his tale, and then there's these additional ones here that who knows how long they'll be, but keep you going, keep you invested, and keep you wanting to play. I like that. We're invested in you idea. It's what indie games get to do, like what we're talking about, or not even indie games, what For Honor's doing right now of, hey, we're still invested in this community. What Friday the 13th is doing, well, hey, we're still here. We're not going. We're still making this game for you. What Yacht Club does with Shovel Knight, where I think, like, the interesting thing about, like, let's compare Yacht Club and how they're doing Shovel Knight to how Wolfenstein 2 is doing this, right?
I mean, are they even able to be compared in that way? I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, like Plague Knight, and then what's the other one? I always forget. But the other one that came out and everyone loves.
Those feel like more robust expansions versus like a single drop of DLC.
Sure.
Like there was a lot more content in those than like an hour-long mission or whatever. Obviously, we don't know what this DLC is going to be.
Sure.
But
but I would argue that this is the smarter choice than what Yacht Club did. I want to see, with all due respect, and this makes me sound like such a fucking corporate dude. I want to see Yacht Club make money. I want to see them continue to make great games. They're being great to their community, and that's awesome. I think the most recent expansion, or whatever you want to call it, DLC for Shovel Knight, which was a new campaign, a new game, should have been released as a new game. Because I think the way they did it right, I think the way they packaged it means that it's not considered for Game of the Year. You have to be a super, super Shovel Knight fan to know that came out and that was awesome. And even if you did, it's just, oh, that's cool. They redid the game and they did it all from a different angle. And this, like, that game should have been on its own, so more eyes would have been on it, so there would have been more press for it, so more people would have played it, so more people would be talking about it, so they'd be making more money as a company. Now, granted, Yacht Club made a ton of money, I assume, on what they did with Shovel Knight.
Yes.
And maybe they are super altruistic of it, of like, we don't need to make more. You know what I mean? Like, we're happy with what we've done. We want to deliver for our community, so that when we do have a fresh, awesome, brand new idea, they come out of the woodwork to help us. I just feel like it could have gotten more eyes on their product. Whereas this is, hey, here's a bunch of shorter stuff. We're dedicated to you. This is what we're promising you. And you know that when that's done, that's done. Whereas with Yacht Club, I feel like if I'm not in the shit with them, if I'm not paying attention, I don't know what's going on with them. Plus, their schedule's been so long, right? You figure this will be done within a year and a half, that it'll all be out and done. Whereas, like, Shovel Knight came out how long ago? And we're still seeing stuff come out for it, but then is there still a buzz for it?
well, I mean, you're talking about a small indie dev versus Bethesda.
I know. I'm aware. I'm aware that they're not exactly apples and apples. One's a crab apple, one's a giant Granny Smith.
Well, one's the apple tree, right?
That's a really good way to put it.
So I think their marketing strategies are going to be wildly different, because Bethesda also has several other games that they're working on and promoting, and want to get out to people who are playing their games.
No, it's a very fair point. I like season passes in the way that I think if you're a fan, like what we're talking about right here, is the fact that we like Wolfenstein, we're in for more Wolfenstein.
Well, and for the record, I don't dislike the content of season passes. I just sometimes get frustrated when publishers push, more purchasing on you when you haven't even got the game in your hands yet. I feel like it's just a little money grubby sometimes.
Okay.
Some developers
I think
and some publishers make it feel a little gross.
Sure. That's a very fair statement. I agree with you on that too. Yeah. And that's why it's so hard to walk this line, because it is that fact where what we're talking about too, right? Where there's Machine Games and there's Bethesda, and there is a studio that is making a game and it's a work of art to them and they want it to be as best as possible. And then there is a company that's like, well, we have to monetize your art, which puts us into tricky, weird situations all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why we should all be communists and games should just be released for free.
All games for free.
All games for free. Wouldn't it be a great world? I guess you could do that now if you're a monster. Don't pirate. Deals of the day, if you want to spend more money. Xbox One players looking for a new title have a great option this week. I just copied this right off of Xbox, I think. Beginning today, Xbox Live Gold members are able to try Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls Ultimate Edition for free. So just get in there. You can get that and start playing. And Diablo 3, really good. Did you play it?
Excellent. Yes.
Good. I knew I liked you for a reason. Let's jump into reader mail. Remember, you can be part of the show by going to kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like Why Not Pete did. Why Not Pete writes in and says, Patrick Klepek reports that the upcoming Metroid 3DS game will lock both an art gallery along with a hard mode behind amiibos. And oh God, he says, insert Greg voice. This, pardon my French, is a big steaming pile of horse shit. If you want to do day one DLC, Nintendo, then grow a pair of balls and call it what it is. This amiibo epidemic has gone on long enough. I tolerated the cosmetic items. I even tolerated the in-game items, weapons, and food that you got in Breath of the Wild, but I draw the line at blocking off actual game modes. Nintendo, you done fucked up. I also blame Zyger for this amiibo fetish. Does this and for you two as much as it does me. I missed this report. I meant to jump back to. Did you see it from Klepek?
I did not.
From Waypoint? Let me open up the phone.
So, blocking content behind a paywall is something that people do. This is not new. This concept is not like fresh. I mean, I get that you're upset that you have to buy a physical toy in order to unlock the content, but let's talk about like what this content is. Hard mode and an art gallery.
Uh-huh.
I mean, think about who wants that content the most. The most hardcore of the Metroid fans, right? So if you consider yourself to be a really diehard Metroid fan, why wouldn't you want to get the amiibo anyway?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That's probably what Nintendo is thinking when they've locked this content off. I think it's up for debate whether or not this is ethical or good or bad or whatever. But, you're allowed to be mad about it, but the reality is, like, this is their right to do. They are the ones who created the art. If they want to tell you have to buy this thing to unlock the art, then...
Let me run you through. I'm reading Klepek's Waypoint article around Waypoint right now, of course. It's basically what's been said here. He's talking about this. Pretty quickly, Facebook comments wondered if Nintendo is locking game modes behind the amiibo. In the past, things like art galleries and harder game modes were rewards for beating a game. Now it seems they require money. Quote, so things that used to be shipped and ready to play with the game now require stupid figurines to be able to enjoy them, one commenter wrote. Nice cash grab. When I contacted Nintendo, the company pointed me to their Facebook page. That didn't answer my question, though. I understood what the amiibos could do, but the question was whether players could get the same content without one. Again, the company pointed me to their Facebook page. It refused to provide any direct clarification on this point, which may say it all. It is locked behind the amiibos. This wouldn't be the first time Nintendo and other developers have experimented with amiibos. Splatoon locked challenges for single player behind them. Shovel Knight had an entire co-op mode inside an amiibo, and Breath of the Wild was the only way to have the Twilight Princess Wolf with you using the amiibo. This is Klepek again. This doesn't feel right, though. Unlock things early? Fine. Special costumes? Whatever. It'd be nice if Nintendo found a solution that didn't involve requiring another $30 for some plastic toys on top of the game's $40 price tag.
Yeah, so I think that's the real issue here is, like, for me, just having people pay for another mode is just another form of DLC.
Sure.
But
this is like the season pass thing we were just talking about, right?
Right.
The DLC's ready.
Well, but that's the difference is that these are tied to a physical item that can be very difficult to acquire.
Sure.
There's been problems in the past with Nintendo and Amiibos and lack of availability, or if the region that you're in or the game store that's in your town doesn't have enough stock of that particular Amiibo, having to try to find one online. Like, that to me is another hurdle that why put your fans in front of that hurdle. If it was just as easy as going going to the digital store,
to the eShop or something,
putting your credit card in and downloading a code or whatever.
Like Zelda just put out a hard mode that is DLC, but isn't tied to an Amiibo.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So I think that to me is like the extra, hump here that players need to get over. That seems a little like, why do that?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I think it's back to the season pass argument we were just talking about. Where for Why Not Pete, this is a big deal for me personally. I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure I'm going to kick the tires on this game. Hopefully, eventually it comes to Switch, but it probably won't. But when I do eventually play this thing, like, I'm not going to be looking for the hard mode, and the art gallery doesn't matter to me. So it's hard for me to have as much opinion or skin in the game either way. I do think the fact that, it's weird that you have to get the thing that's limited that might be hard to get to come download this. Not to mention the fact of, I guess the idea there is that, well, I don't think hard mode or an art gallery would be worth $30 or $40 on its own. But if you have the Amiibo and this little statuette thing, figurine.
I thought the Amiibos weren't that expensive.
I'm just going off what he said there. I don't know.
I thought they were like $15.
We're all cool kids. None of us buy these toys.
Somebody go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell me how much an Amiibo actually is.
Somebody sent me a link today on Twitter, or an image that was Tom Nook Amiibo for $2 on clearance. So that's how it's going.
There you go.
I'm not fired up about it. I also, it's just, those are things that aren't attractive to me. And I would imagine based on the data Nintendo's looking at too, that's the thing that they aren't attractive to the mainstream as well. So why?
Well, I think he has a point of saying, I used to be able to get things like the hard mode unlocked by just beating the game.
Yeah.
Games just aren't like that anymore. There's too much competition, and in order for game makers to make the profits that, they're kind of obligated to make to their shareholders or to their, members of the team, like they have to make you pay for more stuff than you used to pay for. And I think that's just the hard reality of the gaming world that we're in today in 2017.
I guess it's just a weird, for me, it's the balance like they're talking about here, right? Where Why Not Pete's talking about cosmetic items, okay, sure, and then weapons and the food in Breath of the Wild, which I didn't even know about for the longest time. And I was like, oh. And then when I did use the Amiibos we have on a shelf over there, and I got the wolf again for Twilight Princess, I was like, oh, that's cool or whatever, but not enough that I want to keep tagging this Amiibo in there. You know what I mean? Like, I guess there's like a threshold where it's like, this is how much a normal player cares about any of this stuff. But then if you're super fan, you want that stuff. You want these cosmetic, you want that. And then does art gallery and hard mode fall into that? Like, do people play Metroid excited to come back for the hard mode on it?
I feel like it's the opposite. It's like you buy the Amiibo and this is what you get with the Amiibo. Not like I bought the game and if I want this content, then I have to buy the Amiibo.
Sure.
I feel like people buy Amiibos because they're collector's items. They don't necessarily buy them specifically for the content that they unlock in the game. And perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps there's a lot of people out there who are like, I only have this Amiibo because it unlocked this one thing in the game.
So I'm thinking that this is a personal passion thing, and that's how much it affects you or hurts you, right?
Right.
My analog to this, that where I would care about it, right, is that if I need, let's say Amiibos worked on PlayStation or whatever, and then it would be that, or even, let's say even stick with Switch, to get the true ending of a game, I had to have this Amiibo. I'd be pissed about that. If it was that on PlayStation to get a certain trophy that was tied to the platinum, I needed to have this Amiibo, I'd be pissed about that. The fact that there's a hard mode and an art gallery, which don't mean anything to me, and let's even take it away, let's use the examples I just did. They put out Patapon 5. Patapon, they redo everything, and I know we skipped 4, but we're putting out Patapon 5. It's awesome, it's amazing. And there's a hard mode locked there, but it doesn't apply to the platinum. And I don't care. Like, whatever. I'm still getting the game I want. I don't know. Is hard mode that much better? I don't know. It's I guess it's one of those vote with your wallet things. You got to decide what you want, but be vocal about it and talk to Nintendo over on their Facebook page, where that Patrick Klepek keeps getting directed to for some reason. Billy wrote in and said, so what's the deal with Fortnite? Is it cool to charge $40+ for a free-to-play game before it's actually complete? I'm sorry, let me do that again. Is it cool to charge $40+ for a free-to-play game before it's actually complete? I checked the listing on the PSN and it's free to download, but requires, quote, the $60 founder pack for early access season. Does that seem shady? Seems shady to me. Billy.
Seems common to me. Yeah. Seems like a lot of people do early access that you have to pay for that will become free eventually. I don't know why it seems shady.
The deal. I'm not super up to date on Fortnite.
And this is another communication, messaging, marketing problem on behalf of Epic, because the way that they've been talking about the launch of the game this week is like, the game is out, the game has launched, but it's early access. So when you play the game, it says early access like on the build.
Okay.
So when you download it and you play it, which I've been doing, and we're going to be playing it later, it's
twitch.tv/what's good games.
That's right. Thank you. It says early access on it. So the game is not officially like out release in its final form. So that's a clarification I think that Epic needs to maybe
And so
make.
right now you're paying for the early access, but
Correct.
eventually when they go full access, it's free to play?
It's free to play, and then
Gotcha.
there'll be microtransactions in the game,
Gotcha.
like all free to play games.
Okay.
So that they have like loot boxes, and they'll have skins and things like that.
Of course, yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think it's shady as much as it is like, especially on the PlayStation storefront, it's so hard to pivot those things, right? Like, this is a free-to-play game, not right now, but it will be eventually, so you need to do that. And, like, how do you message that right now that PlayStation isn't Steam, where you have early access plastic.
Yeah.
You know when you go into the early access session what you're getting into.
Right.
PlayStation's still trying to catch up to all that and make it look and give it a push. And Paragon's another example.
Yeah, they did the $60 Essentials Edition, which came out on disc. So you could buy the disc at, any game store, and then it had a code inside that would unlock the digital content. And that game, is free to play now, but it wasn't, when I first started playing it. So yeah, shady is not the right word. It's just, it's been maybe miscommunicated a little bit. Okay. It's early access. It's an early access.
Okay. Ethan gets the honor of being the final question of the day. He wrote into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, why is Nintendo getting a pass for the chat solution, or lack thereof, that they have on the Switch? Now, don't get me wrong.
They're not.
I have a Switch and I am loving pretty much everything about it. The console concept is fantastic and stands to be a huge success if they can ever get it back when the stock shortages are worked out. My biggest complaint is the voice chat solution that they have presented for the Switch. I'm not even a huge voice chat guy in my games, but this entire idea seems so egregious, and it seems so... Oh, no, and it seems as though few people are talking about it. Here's what I'll tell you right now, real quick, Ethan. Fucking put paragraph breaks in this. If you're going to write a giant fucking rant, don't give me a block of text. It seems like a lot of people kind of shrug it off as, oh, Nintendo, or those Japanese developers are wacky. I realize that the number of games that you would want to chat with, Andrew, why are people not as mad as they should be about...
People are mad.
Okay.
I ranted about this on my show last week.
Yeah.
Like, this is bullshit. This app is garbage.
Sure.
They can do better.
Right.
And I'm not giving them a pass like, oh, Japan. Like, that's not a pass. Because Sony is also a Japanese developer, and their online ecosystem is great. And so, like...
They've improved it greatly.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing. He hits it here in saying that I realize the number of games that you would want to chat for on the Switch is much more limited than the other consoles, but if PlayStation or Xbox were to come out with the same solution, everyone would be having a shit fit and starting petitions. Yes, that's true, because they've already shown that they've made a different online interface that's excellent. And if they were to say, now you have to use your phone, then people would, of course, be up in arms and be like,
Sure.
Why do I have to use my phone? Nintendo has not really had this before. They've never really jumped into it the way that Xbox Live and PSN are existing. And I think that they're not getting a pass. I think it's crap. I think the fact that I had to pull up my phone, and then if I get a text message, it disconnects me from the chat is bullshit. It's bad.
Yeah.
It makes me not want to play anything online or chat with people in the Nintendo online games. But I think that he hits it here in saying that people don't play a lot of online games on Nintendo.
Exactly.
And this is a good reason to continue to not play online games on Nintendo. And things like this are what's going to keep third-party developers away from bringing their major AAA titles to Nintendo Switch.
Sure.
And that's going to hold the system back. I know there's been a lot of optimism and enthusiasm for what Nintendo has been doing this year, and they have hit a lot of really great strides. However, if they ever want to really compete with Xbox and PlayStation in the console market again, they need to get this worked out. They need a better solution. They need to integrate it into the platform. Having a chat client within your software on your hardware cannot be that difficult.
The Vita did it.
Well, the thing that made me mad was Reggie's response. Did you read the response he gave to IGN?
No.
So when the Nintendo Online app debuted, Reggie gave a quote to IGN essentially saying, well, we want to make it convenient for players. We don't want them to have to carry around a chat headset in their backpack with their Switch when they already have their phone with them. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be playing online, I'm going to want to have the best game audio. I'm not going to want my little earbuds in when I'm chatting with my friends. Like, that's the reason why the aftermarket headset business is so big, and there's a lot of people who buy gaming headsets.
Yeah.
So like that excuse was just like, threw my hands in the air. I was like, come on, Reggie, that's the best you've got. Normally you're really on message.
I think the reason they're not getting more shit for it, because there are people fired up and talking about it, but the reason they're not getting more shit for it is just because nobody gives a shit about online games on Nintendo. Like what he's talking about, what you've mentioned. And it's like, Splatoon, sure. Splatoon 2, I know, is doing really well right now. People like it, and that's great. But it is the same thing of, it's doing great with, our kids, the Kind of Funny best friends, who use Discord every day. So
that's what I use too.
And that's the thing, is like, is it a big deal for them to jump over? And then the way this would have to matter is that all of a sudden Nintendo gets or invents its new IP, it gets something big, and they have some online exclusive game. Well, let's in a different world, Battlegrounds, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds happened on Nintendo Switch, and everybody was flooding in to play the Nintendo Switch and do this online and blah blah. And then chat was run through that. Suddenly there'd be more eyes on this problem, more people would care, and everybody would be fired up. But the fact that this is happening to a very small sliver of the Switch market, or it's happening to a Switch market that is such a hardcore Nintendo fan that they already knew about Splatoon, so they were already used to, how Wii U did all this different garbage and stuff. They just don't care. And unless there's ever going to be some giant crossover game that everybody comes to, no one's going to know. The real...
You mean like Minecraft?
Yeah, but I mean, like, even then, like, people have been chatting through servers and different ways for
so
Minecraft
I think
for
we
so
can
long.
hold out hope.
Yeah. Don't listen to Kevin. I already know. He's telling me to wrap up. I know I was wrapping up. I just said the last question.
I know. Okay. Yeah. So final point. I think we can hold out hope that Nintendo has decided to keep this service free for all of 2017.
Sure.
So my wish is that...
What's your wish?
They are going to get their ducks in a row.
Yeah.
They're going to fix this. They're going to optimize the app. They're going to make it easier and better to use. I'm going to be able to, have multiple apps open at the same time. I should be able to answer text messages on my phone and not disconnect from chat.
Sure.
That's like a basic functionality that they have to fix. And that by the time they start charging people for this, they've smoothed out all of these bugs, all of these problems, and the functionality is great. And then maybe, just maybe, sometime in 2018, they'll migrate this functionality from your smartphone onto the actual Switch.
I predict that doesn't happen. I think they start charging for it.
So this is my wish.
Okay. I'm just saying. Sorry to come in and shit all over your wish. It's not going to happen.
Not a prediction.
They're going to start charging for it, and then more people will be angry at it.
Okay.
Like, what is this getting me? This thing fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And there's no games that use it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to chat with anybody while I'm playing Mario Odyssey or whatever new Breath of the Wild thing's out.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to play online, though, we have a segment called Squad Up. This is where one of you writes into kindoffunny.com/KFGD, and you give me your username, your platform, all that jazz, and why, most importantly, you need friends to play with. Then the other best friends in the Kind of Funny community come and find you and play with you. This one is Andrew Street. He's playing on PC/Habbo Hotel. His username is Bwaby Mwunky, BWABY, new word, MWUNKY. Hey guys, I've been an avid player of the classic browser game / social network Habbo Hotel for years now. A few months back, when Club Penguin closed, the game saw a lot of new users, and my fiery passion for the game was reignited. I'm looking for friends to pal around with, or maybe play some good old Falling Fernie. My Habbo username is Bwaby Mwunky. Thanks. Keep up the great work, Andy. So everybody go find him. BWABY, new word, MWUNKY, in that Habbo Hotel. And hey, shout out for putting in something that's totally different than what we normally get. I like that a lot.
Nice work.
Andrea?
Yes.
We have a thing called kindoffunny.com/you're wrong, where the live chat corrects us on anything we screwed up. What did we screw up?
So I screwed up about the Agents of Mayhem YouPorn activation. Okay. So while Johnny Gat is in Agents of Mayhem behind a pre-order wall, the YouPorn sex tape doesn't feature him. It features Rod Hollywood Stone, one of the game's other characters. Yeah. So that's my bad. So the next one, reposting this from the archive as it was missed after Monday's show, but it seems appropriate for today's discussion.
Thank you.
Black Sheep DJ wrote, hopefully someone reads this. I'm busy during the show and listening to the podcast later on. Shovel Knight frequently comes up as why are these new parts of the game DLC? Yacht Club Gaines had no choice. The 3 additional campaigns were Kickstarter stretch goals, so they can't be released as new games. YCG have worked around it a bit. If you kickstarted or purchased the main game before a certain date, you get the DLC for free. But starting with Spectre Knight's campaign, you can now buy campaigns individually.
Thank you very much. That makes so much more sense as to why they'd be hiding all this great content.
Exactly. So, down here, regarding the Amiibo price points, according to GameStop.com, Amiibos are $12.99 MSRP, but the Metroid Amiibos are sold in a 2-pack that costs $30. So they obviously vary in price a little bit. So there was a lot of people writing in about the Amiibos.
Thank you.
So that's it.
All right. Pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we come to you with the nerdy video game news you need to know about. Get hands-on with it, discuss it, answer your questions, do crazy stuff. If you like that, you can watch us record it live over on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. Remember, you can also get it on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and podcast services around the globe. No matter where you consume it, please go subscribe to the other channels, like it, share it, even if it just gets it to somebody else, a couple more people you get in, they get more people in. It's a pyramid scheme. Kevin makes a lot of money. It's great. Remember, too, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime, why not come give us your free subscription that you're just sitting on, not doing anything with? It'd be great. Or go to Andrea. Andrea, you're streaming here pretty quick. What, 3:30 you said?
3:30 p.m. Pacific time.
All right, cool. So you go over there, twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames.
Yeah, come join us. It'll be fun.
All right. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you. Tomorrow's Tim. Don't be lazy in writing questions being like, who's on the show? It's Tim. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Greg.